everyone, welcome back to another episode of Triad Expeditions, and in this episode we are going to be talking about lessons learned at the Hatfield McCoy Trail system on this last weekend's trip, or this last week's trip I should say. So a couple things. First off, we very much enjoyed ourselves. The weather was definitely not cooperating. We had went on this trip at the middle to end of March, so just to kind of give you a reference there. A couple of the days were really nice, and then the other days were just very rainy, which made for the trails to be pretty muddy, which is normally not a big deal, and you should expect that you know the trails are going to be muddy because they're dirt, and but you know they were pretty soupy and they were kind of kicking mud everywhere, and obviously that's part of off-roading. So for some of you out there, you're like, well, duh, you know, that's going to be the way it's going to be. But I just wanted to kind of give you the conditions. And we had left and had stayed at the Blue and Gold cabins, and I'll roll in some footage of that while I'm talking about some of the things that you know I want to share with you, so that maybe you can be better prepared or not make the same mistakes that we did. So first off, the side-by-side did really good for the weekend. All the components worked just as I'd hoped them to. We had started our trip by visiting Blue Ridge Overland Gear, so some exciting news coming from there, and I think you guys should definitely subscribe to their channel if you have not already. They make some really good products, and I won't be going into the products because I want you to be able to see them firsthand with their product reveal and their product walk around video. I know that they're going to do a good job of that, so I'm going to kind of keep that under the wraps here. So if I don't really go into detail on that, that is exactly why. But yeah, definitely go over and subscribe to Blue Ridge Overland Gear, and you will be able to see the walk around video that will be coming out and some other exciting stuff that we were able to get the inside track to find out about. So they're always coming out with good stuff, so it's not really a secret that they're going to be coming out with some new stuff this coming month. Definitely also subscribe to their newsletter. I know I sound like I'm plugging them quite a bit, but they really do make some excellent products that go right along with the type of travel that we do, and most likely the type of travel that you do. So let's get the kind of the negatives out of the way right off the bat, and then we'll talk about some of the positives. So unfortunately, one of the negatives was we got to Blue and Gold cabins, and after our shop visit there at Blue Ridge Overland Gear, and we had kind of went up and was following the directions, but we weren't following them good enough. The owner was just awesome, just kind of gave us all the brief that we needed to get us there safely and get our trail passes to us, so couldn't ask for more of that. We'll talk about the cabins here in a second, but that was a negative because we went up and we ended up having to turn around in somebody's basically front yard because there was nowhere else to turn around, and it was posted, and they're going to put more signs up from talking to the owner, so you know it is what it is. So that was definitely a negative. That was kind of our first experience there. And you know, looking back, it was kind of comical because you know we were really stuck, and it was 10:30 at night by the time we got there. So that was definitely a negative. The next negative is really all on me because, and I want to tell you to do this. So we'd got a pretty good amount of work done at RC Enterprises, and they had taken the front end off and also the rear wheels off for the shock therapy spring installation, and unfortunately the passenger side, or correction, driver's side rear, the lugs loosened up, and it was my fault because I did not go back and torque all the lugs. So if you don't know, or that's not your practice, that is something that you should definitely do. You should go down the road at least 10 miles maybe, or just a couple miles, whatever interval you want, but just keep making sure that those lugs are tight after the initial tightening of them, because new rims, new lugs, and anytime that you put aluminum rims back on your hubs, you should definitely go back after a few miles. I think even some people recommend up to 20 miles, and then retorque those lugs to make sure they have not backed off. So definitely do that. But unfortunately, what had happened was we were going down the trail, and I felt something in the rear. Well, I thought that maybe a radius arm bolt had backed out or something else. And why I was not suspecting that we had a loose wheel and loose lugs, I have no idea, because that would have been the obvious thing to look for first. So we stopped a couple times. I looked, I didn't see anything. I guess I just didn't believe that the lugs had backed off, so I wasn't even looking in that direction. Should have been, because that's exactly what it was. So by the third time, we were actually leaving the trail system and hitting the hardtop, and I thought, yeah, there is no way we can continue down the road doing 50 miles per hour with this vibration, because it could be dangerous. And that's when I found out that, in fact, 3 of the 4 lugs were pretty much almost falling off. So unfortunate part was it ruined this this KMC wheel. And so $275 later, yeah, these are very expensive beadlock rims. We have a ruined rim. So yeah, plus the mounting fee, because I do have them have RC mount them, because the fact that they do a good job of balancing them. And so that's one of the benefits of taking it to a tire shop, is to get a balance on them. Though with these big 35s, a lot of times they won't balance. So how am I going to fix this? Well, the way I'm going to fix this is basically I'm going to start the day anytime that this is going out the door, even if it's going to be street riding. The first thing I'm going to do is like a pre-check, which would be, I'm going to make a pre-checklist, which is like oil, just basically doing a walk around, make sure everything is secure, that it didn't work on something and leave something loose. And then I'm going to break out the torque wrench that I already have the spline fitting on with the lug, and I'm going to go ahead and do a complete lug torque all the way around. So at least I know that I did everything I could to start the day or start the ride with some nice tight lugs. And one of the things that is a disadvantage is, you're talking about 35-inch tires and you're talking about a 4-lug pattern. Most vehicles, like heavy-duty vehicles, will have like a 6-lug pattern or a 5-lug at the minimum. So, for it to be a 4, it was never designed to have this much, tire or leverage. So that's even more of a reason why you really got to keep up on it. So we were lucky, the fact that we had a spare up here on the spare tire carrier. I did not realize that the spare tire carrier was going to come in handy so quickly, because we would have been absolutely screwed if we did not have a spare tire. We would have been out of luck with this rim having been damaged. So yeah, that was unfortunate. So the spare ended up getting mounted sooner than I thought it would ever get mounted. But the good thing is we were prepared, and we did have the impact and everything else. So we kind of handled it like pros, because I had the jack and I had the lug wrench, or the impact, that is the battery powered impact, and we had all the stuff that we needed to fix, do the trail side repair. Folks there in West Virginia, folks were just stopping and asking us if we were good. People down there are just super nice, just good people, and definitely just struggling obviously with their economy, but it's good to go down there and help those folks out with what is becoming quickly their number one income source. And it's very evident when you go down there and you see all the side-by-sides and all the people visiting the restaurants. So that kind of leads us into the next segment here, and let's talk about some of the restaurants. So don't really have much good footage of the first one we went to, which was called the Rail Yard, but I'll put a graphic up here. And the Rail Yard is actually in the Bluefield proper, the downtown area, Bluefield, and it was just a really good place. Service was just excellent. We sat on the porch with Ozzy. and really enjoy the food. It was top notch. I mean, it was really exceptional. We ended up having the waffles, the waffle appetizer, the chicken and waffle appetizer, and honestly, that was the first time that I had ever had chicken and waffles, and that was it was a good example of it. Put it that way. It was very tasty and it was very good. So the next place that we went a couple days later was the sophisticated Hound Brewery, and it was excellent. I'm going to roll some footage in here and let you see some of the patio area. They have a equally nice inside tap room, but here you can see, us sitting here, enjoying the downtown atmosphere with the cars going by. Just really good service. The food was excellent. We had some hamburgers. The beer was excellent. They had a good selection, and so I definitely recommend that. Now that is in the town of Princeton, which is only about 20 minutes, even by side-by-side ride. Even we do highway speed, so going down the highway, it's about 20 minutes down 20. And just in case you didn't catch it, we were actually staying in the town, what's considered the town of Bluefield, at the Pocahontas Trail system. So I should have mentioned that from the beginning. That was the system that we were taking advantage of. Now we actually went to another trail system called the Sycamore Trail System, and what is sometimes, I believe they refer to it as the old Pocahontas Trail System. And maybe I can pull a photo up of that and do a screenshot of that and show you where I'm talking about. And it was really narrow. I mean, it's obviously another place for you to go, but it was, for a 72-inch machine, it was fun because it was challenging, and definitely my wife was concerned at times, and she was pretty happy when I decided to turn off onto the hardtop and get out of that trail system, because it was the most challenging trails that we had done thus far, and I don't think she was a huge fan of it, but like I said, it all worked out. We got through it okay. Obviously this is a really big machine to be running on what was probably in the past ATV trails, and then as time has gone on, these machines have gotten bigger. They went from being historically 50-inch machines, maybe 60-inch machines, and now we're looking at 72 or 64-inch machines, and now we're looking at 72-inch wide machines. So definitely, it was a challenge in that. Now that's actually in the state of Virginia, so I wasn't even sure if we really should have been there, because I didn't know if we had the proper trail passes for that, because it does say trail permits required. So keep that in mind too. If you want to go there, check and see if there is a separate trail pass. I think they refer to them as the Sycamore Trails. So, but it's right there, outside of Bluefield. So, and I know I'm throwing a lot of information out there. Let's talk about the Pocahontas Trails. Very good, very extensive. I don't think they were as expansive as some of the other trails that we'd done in the past, like when we'd stayed at the Ashland Resort. So I think we're going to definitely maybe move up the state a bit and stay at some of those, because it seemed like the trails were maybe a little bit longer, even though, we really didn't hit all the trails, obviously, there in the Pocahontas Trails. And there definitely was more trail for us to cover than we were interested in doing, because we wanted to move down the road. Now, with this mechanical failure that we had, that kind of cut our day short a little bit. I wasn't too keen on the idea that I didn't know if the lug threads were going to make a difference, or that the wheel bearing was damaged, which it wasn't. I've checked that since I've been home, so that's a good thing. And now I'm going to roll in some footage of the blue and gold cabins, and just to show you like the view. And this is from in the morning, and it was absolutely beautiful. Inside the cabin was absolutely beautiful. I definitely will get some of that footage. I think my wife did some of that just on her iPhone now, and so I'll show you some of the inside of that cabin. One of the things that worked out really good is just being able to cook in there. They provide you really almost everything that you need. We left even some things behind as far as spices and other things that folks I know will be able to utilize. And then, as you can see, our dog there, and I'm kind of still walking around the side-by-side here and then kind of talking about what I think the video will show you, that you would be able to see our dog, you know, hanging out. And they do allow dogs, even though they don't advertise that they allow dogs. I probably shouldn't advertise that too much, but the idea is that they don't want dogs that are going to do damage to their property, because they do keep it very nice. So, you know, just be aware of that, you know, if folks bring their dogs and they end up chewing or damaging the property, and you don't do the right thing by, you know, basically giving them the funds to fix it, which could be pretty pricey when you think about it, because, you know, they're busy people, and the last thing they want to do is have to go in and do an emergency repair so the next folks don't have an eyesore of damage. That's really going to ruin it for everybody. So just be aware of that if you do bring your dog, you definitely need to keep an eye on them, and you definitely need to pick up after them. So just throwing that out there. I want to show you Ozzy's little setup. It's muddy. Like I said, it was muddy. Now this isn't tied down, but it was tied down in there before. But we bought this car booster seat, and that thing worked out perfectly. He had a excellent time, and so that is definitely a positive. He did really, really good on the trail, and was very patient, and just really enjoyed himself out there on the trail. So you know, if you're considering taking your dog, you know your dog better than we do. Just kind of know what maybe his temperament is. Ozzy doesn't seem to put a fuss up, and he's a pretty tough little guy, so he handled it like a champ and adapted quickly to the trail. I will tell you that the one of the things that I added to this was the Hill Killer, the B&M Hill Killer shifter, as you can see there in the middle. That was excellent. I would not want to go on these trails without that, and it is expensive, but I just want to reiterate that I think that was a great addition to this car, especially being the length of it. Occasionally, there wasn't very many times. A lot of folks are like, "Wow, that's a long car. You're going to be backing up, you know, in the turns quite a bit." Really wasn't the case, but you know, the few times that I needed to back up, it really did come in handy. So the truck and trailer did really good. No problems there. Really, everything did very, very good. Also, I guess another product that I'm extremely happy and was really pleased and on my buying decision was to go with this windshield. You know, I think the comment that Chrissy had was, what do people do if they don't have windshields? Because, you know, there was just mud just landing on this windshield, which would have been landing right in our face and in our lap, and the whole entire time, because this stuff was just ruthless. But you know, the windshield wiper handled it like a champ, kept the windshield clean. As you can see, the machine is still clean. I've since ordered a foam distributor, soap distributor for our power washer. It will do soap, but I like the idea of knowing, you know, not having to fill it too much, and then just be able to put this device here on there and distribute the soap, and then take like a scrub brush to the machine. So that is the plan. I think most of you have seen these before. So as far as getting the machine clean again, that is going to be the plan, to get it clean again. One of the cool thing about Blue and Gold, and I probably shouldn't brag it up too much, because I'd probably like to get a reservation there at some point in time in the future. But I know I'm just joking when I say that. The folks there deserve to have that cabin rented out all the time, because it is super nice and they work hard at it. But one of the cool things about that place was they actually had an area to clean your machine with really good pressure, domestic pressure or well pressure, whatever it was. But it was really good. The only thing I regretted, and I guess this would be a lesson learned, was I wish I would have brought like a bucket. So this black bucket here, and scrub brush and soap and stuff, that will be going with me next time, because really, if I'd had a little bit of soap with me and a white bristle brush, I could have pretty much, you know, within a short period of time, just had this thing looking twice as good. But if you would have seen it there after getting off the trails, you would have agreed with me that this is a huge improvement even though it's looking pretty darn nasty right now. So just dirt everywhere all over it. So alrighty, well, there will be a lot of videos coming out here in the future. I plan on, luckily we did not have to put the winch to the test, and I was a little concerned about putting it to the test prior to going on our trip, because I didn't want it to basically do any damage or have to rework anything, because we were out of time, completely out of time prior to leaving for this trip. So we have some time, a couple months before we go on the Moab trip, and so I do plan on putting this S3 Power Sports winch bumper and the winch to the test, and basically making sure that this 5,500 pound winch works good in the way that we mounted it, in the modifications that we did, and where we relocated the fair lead, that everything is working out before I make the winch video. So be looking for the winch video to come out once that testing is done. We do have a proper area where we can winch the vehicle out of a low-lying creek muddy area, and give a little bit of resistance there to do a good simulation of that. So that will be definitely one of the videos coming up. Another video that will be coming up is well, let me back up just a little bit. I know I'm kind of doing some closing remarks here. So another negative was that we did not have enough brakes. I knew the brakes were pretty wimpy from driving around here and doing some break-in, and so you know, I knew I was concerned about that, especially being that other places, you know, warn you that, you know, you're not going to have enough brakes once you put 35-inch tires on, and they were right. So, you know, I thought maybe that I was not going, you know, fast, as maybe some people do roll these machines down the road, that I would be fine, but that was not the case. Even going down the steep grades there on the trails, the brakes started fading a bit. I was having to really be conscious of how much I was heating them up, and I plan on fixing that. It will not be a big brake kit. It will be the Speedline larger rotors, and also the EPS or EDS brand pads, and I will give you some feedback. I plan on driving this and kind of testing the brakes, especially since they're going to be coming right off the machine, so kind of getting hard on them, and then maybe even doing like a how, you know, fast I can stop test, and then how fast I can stop with the new brakes, so to kind of seat them in a little bit. But yeah, so look for that too. And that was a big negative though. If you do build your machine up this big, and that was not a video I did, but that will be a video that comes out in the future. If you build your machine up this big and add this much weight, you're going to need to put different brakes on it, bigger rotors, better pads. That's it. I mean, that's what they say. If you put that on there, that you get basically 70 to 80% there as far as fixing the issue. So big brake kits, a lot of people say they're kind of junk. So yeah, I don't know. I'd like to maybe try some one of these days and prove me wrong, but they're $2,500 for a big brake set for these machines, and that's typically what big brake kits run. But man, if they're junk and they don't work, I really don't want to invest that type of money on that. So yeah. So all right, well, I know I've rambled on here. Hopefully this information was helpful to you. Hopefully you check into my videos because of this type of information, that you feel like you got something out of it. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so that you can be notified of the future videos that we do have coming out. And thank you very much, and everyone be safe.